Hello and welcome to First Thoughts. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Caleb Shea.
and today we are tackling the insanely divisive final film in one of the greatest adventure franchises of all time, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Uh, I was looking forward to this more than any film this year. This was my big one, and I walked away pretty goddamn disappointed. Uh, but we'll get to the reasons why in a minute here. I know you felt differently.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't one of my biggest things because I've just accepted that nothing's going to touch that original trilogy ever. Um, so I was like, look, nothing's ever going to top like the three films, the original three films. So I was like, just hopefully give me a final good, hoorah, uh, with Indy on this one because we all know there's no way Harrison Ford has made it abundantly clear he is not doing another one. Um, after this. So for me, I walked in thinking like, okay, let's see what you got, and I had a good time. I mean, I have my beefs with it, I do, but I thought it was fun. I preferred it over Kingdom of Crystal Skulls, which I had a lot more beef with. Um, again, does it match the original trilogy? No, God no. Um, there is a certain magic that I felt was lost with Spielberg not directing. I definitely felt it. Um, I thought James Mango did an admirable job trying to do it. It was kind of I kind of had the feeling that I was like, okay, I think he got involved a lot later than he probably should have been brought in to direct this. But it looked like he was doing what he the best way he could work with. But overall, I had a good time. Obviously, yes, I'll get into like more of why I enjoyed it. Obviously, maybe some agreements I actually do have with you as we talk about this. But I mostly had a good time with this.
I just, you know, I the last one of these I did was Asteroid City, and I also was like, I walked away from that disappointed. So I feel like the stuff I was looking forward to very much this year has been bumming me out, and the stuff I
I,
was expecting to fail is surprising me, like The Flash.
have you thought maybe go in with almost no expectations?
I couldn't with this. This was Indiana Jones. This was the final movie. This was big.
Out of this is I'm not trying to come at you. This is a legitimate question because you mentioned it once. I know we kind of talked about offline what you when you watch like a movie for the first time, like for your little 2000 10,000 thing, right? You do it without looking at Rotten Tomatoes because you know that if you see the score, it will like taint. You'll go in knowing that with the movie will taint a little bit. Do you think that may have been a little bit with this new indie, seeing all the reviews come out for it, may have tainted just like a tad maybe?
I didn't really look at reviews. I try to avoid that with every movie now. I mean, I might see like a little thing of like, so and so says new movie not that great, but then I'll see another one that says like that movie was amazing. So with newer releases, it is harder to do that, but I do still try to do that. And with this,
Okay.
I fucking love Indiana Jones. Like I was excited. I went in like optimistically thinking like I'm gonna love this. This is gonna be fun. I was looking forward to this for years. This is gonna rock. And I was just bummed out. It was all right. All right. Let's start. Let's start here. Um, why did they break Indy's spirit? Indiana Jones, 1 through 4, at the very least, the character has been fairly optimistic, adventurous, exciting, fun, witty, charming, endearing. This Indy, and we'll cut it here. Spoiler alert going forward, but you should know that by now. Um, this Indy lost his son in Vietnam, is in the midst or finalizing a brutal divorce, has nothing left to live for. Everyone he loves is dead or gone, and he has nothing to fight for. Like, I don't want to watch a broken Indiana Jones trundle through the last phase of his life. That's just depressing.
And okay, I get you where you come from on there. I don't think it bothered me as much because Harrison Ford to me was still very committed to this part. Because I mean, it's a known fact for those
Well,
who don't know.
yeah, good. It was a good
Uh,
performance. I'll just say that, but continue.
okay, yeah, I got you. Sorry. For those who don't know, he hates Star Wars with a passion and hates the character of Han Solo, but he loves Indiana Jones. Like it, this is the film franchise he adores. He loves his character. Um, so I think I was able to forgive it because Harrison Ford is so committed to the part. And yeah, it definitely, for those who don't know, James Mangold directed Logan, which really touched on all the same stuff, except in a much more grim R-rated fashion. So yes, I couldn't help but notice similarities, obviously with James Mangold being the director for this film as well. Um, but I think what made it work for me is that it was an indie. Harrison Ford's 80 years old now, or 81. He's early 80s. It made sense. We were looking at an Indiana Jones that a lot of his friends were gone. He's now in a modern world that doesn't have a place for his type of adventuring anymore. Um, it made enough sense for me to get behind and be like, okay, like Indy at this stage in life. And I think what helps that the movie is exploring him getting it back as it goes on, and you do still see some witticisms and Harrison Ford still cracking jokes and enjoying playing the character throughout, and you're seeing that spirit come back. Um, I do think the whole thing with the Shia LaBeouf's character was more of a reaction to the fan outcry of King of the Crystal Skulls than anything. And look, I'm going to say this: this might be a hot take for people. I don't mind Shia LaBeouf. I'm not agreeing with a lot of his personal antics with the drinking and the stuff like that became all the fucking news when he was really breaking out. The guy's the guy's honestly not a terrible actor. Like I've seen plenty of stuff where he's really given a good performance. I do think he was miscast in King of Crystal. I do. I don't think either he was miscast or the script wasn't very good for his character, but it just didn't click for me. And I don't blame him all that much for that.
I've I'm with you. I've grown to appreciate Crystal Skull for what it is. Like you said, the original three films, Raiders, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade, are sacred. They're untouchable. Like those are just perfect movies.
Yeah. Even when you
Crystal
said
Skull,
Temple of Doom is the worst, go fuck yourself. It's a great film.
yeah, it's
Um,
it's hyper racist and very graphic for a PG movie, but it's 1984. Stop. Um,
yeah, it's my favorite
Crystal
one.
Skull, Temple of Doom's fucking creepy, man. Like every time I watch it, I keep thinking like people took their kids to see this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I do think like the scariest scene, so I think the scariest scene in Indiana Jones straight up will always be the opening of the arc. Like that is just the fact
That
that
or
it's
like
out
the
of
part getting ripped out. Ugh.
well, just the arc thing, it's out of fucking nowhere. Like the first time you see Raiders, there's like I watched a review recently, I read a review or I saw something where they said like it's not like nothing really supernatural happens in Raiders until the arc is opened.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're still thinking like, is this just a golden coffin, or is there something more at play here? And then when Nazis try to dominate a Jewish artifact, and Yahweh's like, oh fuck this, and just wipes their asses out. It's still just mind-blowingly freaky and done so well, and might be it's in my top 5 greatest movie scenes of all time.
Oh, it's a great scene.
Um,
Yeah, no, it's okay. What were you gonna say about Shia LaBeouf?
Crystal Skull, yeah. I like aliens. I think aliens are neat. I think the way they're written into that movie is creative and cool. I like the whole, ancient aliens shit and all that. I love John Williams' creepy score for the alien that kind of leaves you thinking like there's more to this than meets the eye. Like they don't know the whole story. Something evil's happening here. I like that a lot. And the movie's fun. And I think it is because Spielberg's behind the wheel. It has that same flavor as the first three. It might be a little bit on the, diet side, but it's still there. And I didn't feel that with Dial of Destiny. It just felt dragged out. It was way too long. The prologue, like with young Indy, the de-aging tech looked great when he was standing still. But when he was moving, it looked, wonky. And then I found it laughable that like they did nothing to his voice.
Yeah, I'll give you the runtime because even I was starting to feel the two. I was like, okay, they could have cut some stuff out. Like I'm feeling the 2.5.
So many of the scenes are like just duplicated. It's like, oh, the Nazis chase them to this place, they corner them, and then they get away. And then the Nazis chase them back to this place, and then they corner them and they get away. Like they just kept doing that.
Yeah, so no, I'll give you the runtime. They could have trimmed it some more. Um, I yeah, so I'm with you with like so the opening scene actually to me is one of the best parts of the film. Like the that first like opening like 20 minute scene is fucking fantastic. Um, yeah, I the de-aging technology is by far the best that we've seen in a goddamn film that does de-age technology. I stand by just get a younger actor for God's sakes.
You know what's weird? There's an actor who played a young Harrison Ford in the movie called The Age of Adeline. I don't know the guy's name, but he's like a dead ringer for a young Ford. He's in this movie as an extra.
God damn it.
So they could have just done that, but no, no, no.
Yeah, it so and I do yeah, I thought it itself looked good and yes, you could there's some like scenes like when they showed his hands as he's moving, I'm like that's the hands of an 8-year-old man. Um but they filmed it in a way to make even the movement at least look decent enough. You're like, okay, I can believe it. I'm with you though. Even I was sitting going, they couldn't augment his voice. I was like, that is not the voice of a 40 something year old Harrison Ford.
Early, like last year, when we got that Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus, they recreated James Earl Jones' voice as Darth Vader from an AI version. It wasn't James Earl. It sounded impeccable. You can't de-age Harrison Ford's voice a little bit so I don't hear 81-year-old Ford spouting out one-liners as a 40-year-old man. Like,
Yeah. So I'll give you that. Like that was bugging me. I'm like, okay, you have a really good scene. You're pulling off the de-aging for the most part. It's not taking me out too much here. Um, but why in God's good name did you not augment his voice? Because I'm like, that is an 81-year-old Harrison Ford talking.
there were I felt none of the new characters landed at all. Uh I thought that there were too many new characters to get endeared to too fast to care about the story. Like I would have done this is what I would have done, especially with Kihoi Kwan being so popular right now. I would have had that be an adventure with Short Round, and then the main character, like the Phoebe Waller-Bridge character, I would make her Short Round's daughter, and then have the adventure go because you would already have that established bond with the character. You'd care. And with these new people, I like Toby Jones, but I don't know who the hell he was or their relationship, and I didn't care.
Oh, see, that didn't bug me too much. I like that. I actually liked Helena Shaw in
Like,
this.
yeah, okay.
I know. I read your. I liked her, and like because I understood where she was coming from. Like her dad went fucking literally crazy, like trying to solve this. And the last time she saw Indy, he was supposed to destroy it, but he didn't. And then like never once. I think it was inferred he never even once called to check up on her. That was her goddaughter, and movies always make that way more of a serious role than I think anyone ever puts in real life on that title. Um,
Yep.
but so I understood where she was coming from throughout. I'm like, she's mad, like she's angry that literally the two people she had in her life, the male figures in her life that are supposed to be looking out for her, did not at like past the age of 12. Um, but I thought she was for the most part a good forward ending, and I like seeing them start working together more and more as the film was progressing and stuff. To the point at the end of the movie where they were kind of bantering as they're exploring, I was laughing at a lot of their stuff. Like when he was like stuck climbing, and she's like, "What's taking you so long?" He's like, "I have this in my leg, a bad back." And I'm like, there's Grumpy Ford. There's a Grumpy Ford I know and love. And
Yeah, I don't want Grumpy Ford in my Indiana Jones. I want him in my Han Solo because I know he
well,
doesn't like that. I want
well,
I want Indy to be the light at the end of the tunnel, not the darkness.
he was. Yeah, he got
I
up
didn't
there
feel that in this
eventually.
movie. This felt like her movie that he was like riding sidecar to.
Yeah, well, that's probably Disney at first because when I remember when this was announced, Disney was like, "Hey, we're going to do all these different spinoffs and stuff," and that's when after everything everywhere came out, and they were like, "Well, short round spinoff," and Creo kind of like, "They haven't called me, but thanks everyone." Um,
That poor guy.
so
He's,
I think
beloved
that's
Oscar
Disney.
winner and still not getting any fucking phone calls.
Yeah, I think that feeling it's not an unjustified feeling. It's that Disney was adamantly being very open about this being the end of Harrison Ford's time, and we're going to start setting up shit to keep this franchise going. And then, like, what, a month or two before the release, they went, "No, never mind. We're not doing all that. We're just going to focus on this being the final outing." I'm like, yeah, that's what it should have been. Like, I get that one day this is going to go beyond Harrison Ford well after he's not even with us anymore. But if this is his final film, which he himself has made abundantly clear it is, then it needs to be about him. You need to focus. The marketing needs to be, hey, it's his final outing as Indy. Like, he's doing it. We got him. He's fucking giving it his all. Because, like I said, he is really good in this. He's probably a big reason why I like it so much, because he is so committed to making sure that we are getting Indiana Jones one last time to the best of his ability, even at his, older age.
See, ironically, I felt more effort in Han Solo in The Force Awakens. I felt that character was more like it was better written and very similar arc too, which is kind of funny. Uh, but
It's the only arc he wants now.
yeah, just one last ride and then hopefully to die at the end of it.
Watch that his role in Thunderbolts or
I don't know
Captain
what
America or wherever he pops up in next.
dude's 81. Why is he committing to like 3 picture deals with Marvel? Like what the hell? You don't need he doesn't need the money. He doesn't care anymore. Like what is this? What is this about?
Three picture deal with Marvel, and he's on the 1923 show. That's now on indefinite hold because of writer's strike for its second season.
I love Harrison Ford. I just don't understand his decision making. I just don't. Whatever. I don't know.
love
Maybe
how grumpy he is, and I love that we all love how grumpy he is. Like, I've never met anyone that is as grumpy as he is, and we live for it as an American society.
I was laughing my ass off at the press junket for like Captain America, or it was for Indy, but like they asked a Captain America question, and she was like, "Do you think we'll see a Red Hulk in the future?" And Ford was just like, what's a Red Hulk?" She tried to explain it to him, and he was like, "I don't know, maybe not. I don't have to ask someone else." He just had no interest in answering that question or even figuring out what the hell she was talking about.
Oh my god. I love it. Because you know what he's saying? He's like, I'm 80. I don't give a shit. I just got casted for this movie. I'm just going to do my best. Like, I'm just going to play the role that they want me to play.
Yeah. I feel like he doesn't do a lot of improv. He just reads what's on the script and then goes home.
Absolutely does. It's how they were able to get him to replace Bruce Willis so quick in Expendables 3. He's like, yeah, just give me this fucking script. I don't care.
Well, I love that this implies that like he did absolutely zero research on the character of General Ross. Because that would have come up in that research.
Yeah. Or did you hear was it Mackie? Apparently Harrison Ford's he was talking about how nervous he was at first. He's like, dude, it's Harrison fucking Ford. Like, holy shit. And apparently he said one of the first things he said to like calm everyone down was like, all right, guys, let's go shoot this shit movie. Like,
Oh, that's fucking beautiful. Of course.
I was like, what a man. What a goddamn man Harrison Ford is.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, okay. Back to Indiana Jones.
Real quick before we go back, did you ever
Yeah.
see the video he did with David Blaine? I believe did like some magic trick in his kitchen, and he goes, "Get
Yes.
out of my house."
Well, I imagine, he smokes a lot of pot. So watching that like high I think it really freaked him out. He thought he was a legit wizard who was there to hurt him. So he banished him. Oh boy.
Oh,
Yeah. Ford has
I love
always
you.
weirdly, if you look at like the interviews he's given throughout his whole career, his demeanor has never changed. When he was 30, he was like, I don't know who shot first, and I don't care. Like,
Oh yeah, I love when I think he got asked recently, like, hey, he would win a fight Indiana Jones with Han Solo, and he sure goes, I don't give a shit. They're make believe. Like, he goes, that's a stupid fucking question. It's like,
He's
yes.
like that. He's like that substitute teacher you would have who would like have a you'd had him a few times and you knew he had like triggers where if you brought something up, he would go on this tirade and you wouldn't have to do any work that day. Like
Yeah,
that's Harrison Ford.
it's. I feel like well, it was like, again, we just love him for it, like because most of us were raised on him because of our parents. They were like, "Dude, this guy's awesome." Indiana Jones, Han Solo, like our parents loved him, introduced us to his films, so we went, "Oh, this guy's so cool," and
Yeah.
we just embraced that he's a grumpy old man.
Yeah,
It's,
he is. Um did it bother you that Mads Mikkelsen so clearly died a horrible violent death in the first act of the movie?
God, he died. He died.
Yeah, just so in case you were in the bathroom when this part happened. Um, Jurgen Voller, I believe his name is, uh,
Yes.
climbs up on the train to get the half of the dial back from Indy. And while on this train, moving at the high speed a train moves, uh, good old Mads takes a pole to the face at about 100 miles an hour. And I don't know if you know
Harrison.
a lot about physics, but you don't walk away from that.
No, Indy jumps over that thing like it's nothing too. It
Yeah,
took
it's
his buddy to be like Indy, and he just jumps real quick, and Mads takes it to the fucking face.
a lot, and like doesn't like fall backwards. He flies off the goddamn train into the wilderness of Germany, and then later on we see him in a hotel room, not a scratch on him. I was hoping for an explanation for that, like the Lance of Longinus was not a fake, and he got cut by it, and he's immortal. There's an explanation.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll give you that. I noticed that because as soon as I was like, he's supposed to come back later, he took that shit to the fucking face.
Yeah,
Like,
I was expecting like if he did come back later, I was expecting him to be all like fucked up and robotic or something, but nope, totally fine.
nope. He was.
His
He just
glasses weren't
got
even
up.
broken.
Yeah, he just got up and walked away. At first, he went, "Well, that hurt.
Yeah, like
That didn't
Jesus.
feel great."
I-
Uh-huh. No, yeah, I'll give you that. Even I was like, "What the fuck? Nothing, nothing at all." Okay, we just walked that one off, like you're in Jackass or something. If you're
it felt like
complaining
that, man.
on,
It
you
was.
gotta be tough.
Oh my god. Yeah. Hi, I'm Jurgen, and I'm gonna take this pole to the face at 100 miles an hour. Damn it.
I'm Logan. Welcome to Jackass.
I wish I knew German so I could say that in German, but I can't.
You think Knoxville watched that scene and went, "We can try to replicate that and see if we can actually survive."
You know what? Maybe. I guess we'll find out.
Knoxville saw that and went, "Content."
All right, I'm good. All right, I'm gonna say it in German.
Sweet Jesus.
Willkommen bei Jackass.
Okay.
Wasn't worth it. Apparently, jackass is a universal term.
Well, good for them.
Yeah. Well, it was just fucking ridiculous. Like this, our main villain got blasted off the goddamn train so easily, like so obviously dead. Shows up with. Also, why do they keep bringing up the space program if it has nothing to do with the movie?
I think that was, I think they're not so great way to place it in the time period. Be like, "Hey, look, this is when we went to the moon." I think it was more of a metaphor for how the war doesn't need Indiana Jones because it seemed to override everything he was trying to teach.
Well, I'm okay with like the moon landing being on TV, the parade outside. Like that's fine for establishing time and mood. But they kept bringing up that Jurgen was like the architect of the space program. Like they kept mentioning him specifically being part of that, but then it meant absolutely nothing to the movie.
Oh no, because he completely wipes out the CIA people like halfway through the movie.
All of that was pointless. All the CIA people, Indy getting framed for murder in New York, like it was meaningless. Could have all been cut for time.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. There could have been some trimming done. I will say the action set pieces in this film, again, and this is, I'm not trying to make any comparisons to the original trilogy. I thought they were really good. I thought a lot of the action set pieces were good, like especially that whole chase scene on the horse that you see so prevalently in the trailer. I thought it was a really cool scene, and then the buggy scene. when they're flipping between buggies and stuff. I thought the actual like action set pieces were well done for the most part. And again, like, and I was thinking about actually after the film, they did a better job of obviously Harrison Ford is in his damn 80s and he is not going to be able to punch the way he used to. But this film, compared to something like Cry Macho with a 90 something year old Clint Eastwood, to me did a much better job editing it in a way where I did not notice his age when it came to like him punching and jumping around and stuff. It still felt like okay, he still has it. They're editing it in a way that makes it look good. Whereas Cry Macho was like, oh, you can't edit that Eastwood. It's just you're 90 and it's obvious.
Yeah, Clint needs to hang it up. Um,
Yeah. So I'll give the I want to give the film props to that. They Harrison Ford, and I know Harrison Ford made the comment where again, grumpy Harrison Ford, where apparently they were going to try to actually do the stunts where it looked like he was still young. And he straight up told the stunt people, "Don't fucking do that. I'm 80. Make it look like I'm 80." Like he straight up told him, like, "Don't do that. That's stupid. Like I'm an 80-year-old man. Make it look like that." So like to his credit, like with that knowledge and how they edit it, it does look good. Like I believed a lot of the action scenes with him in it, which was refreshing for someone his age.
mm, yeah, see, I felt the action sequences mostly were pretty repetitive and derivative. I wasn't a fan. I felt there was way too, even more so than Crystal Skull, an overabundance of CGI in this movie. Like everything looked fake from the fucking streets. Like, was there even a real set in this film at all? Ever?
I mean, obviously the rest because then they have delay filming because of his plane accident.
Was that this movie? I don't know. It happens a lot.
There's
Remember
some
when the
parties.
Millennium Falcon's door closed on his leg?
Yeah, he needs to stop flying planes and going back to franchises because they're trying to kill him.
Something is. Um, yeah, I didn't
Well,
they
and
didn't
see,
feel that
okay,
exciting. And again, I'm not trying to compare these to the original three. I am trying to just on for this movie alone
yeah.
as its own thing. And as its own thing, I just didn't buy any of it. I just didn't feel. I felt Antonio Banderas, for instance. Why the hell
Was
is
that
he in
weird to
this?
you? Was that weird? That was weird to me because I spent at least 5 minutes going, "Is that Antonio Banderas?" No, and as soon as I heard the Puss in Boots voice, I was like,
That's his real
"Mm,
voice.
I know." It's just at first when you talk to him, like that's not Antonio Banderas. And with the script, I'm not gonna lie. At first, from forward, I was like, "Pedro Pascal's in this movie." And I was like, "No, it's not. It's not Pedro Pascal." And then he talked, and I was like, "There's no fucking way you got Antonio Banderas and this like glorified cameo in this damn movie."
He has like two lines about scuba, and then he gets shot, which
Yeah,
is better than what they did with John Rice Davis. Sala is in this for all of 30 seconds.
yeah, he quickly gets ran out, which was weird. I was like, why didn't you just include him in the adventures?
Yeah. Why put him in the
Um,
trailer if you're not and then get like Indy's just like, no, go home. You're too old for this as 80-year-old fucking Indy goes to Tangier? Really?
yeah, I'm like, okay, you're 80 there, also, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, no, they, again, that I blame Disney probably being like, we need new characters so we can build this franchise down. It's like, or you can just have it be a final celebration of this and then focus on that stuff after. That's fine, whatever. Um, No, yeah, and look, okay, I get it. Yeah, you're right. The CGI didn't bother me in this one because to me it looked better overall than a lot of Crystal Skull CGI. Like to this day, watching that part when Shia LaBeouf is swinging on the vines, even if you take away the stupid like the ape noise they put in there, take that away, it looks incredibly fake. And that was my big issue with that. Was like, there's that CGI, even when it came out, just did not look good and has only aged worse as time has gone on. Whereas this CGI, minus a few moments, like when he's running across the train and they got that wide shot, and I'm like, okay, that's CGI because Harrison Ford's not running like that at all. Um, Minus a couple moments like that, I thought the CGI looked better overall, and it didn't take me out of the movie.
Okay. I felt Helena, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, was irritating, insanely selfish, and just smug. Like an unearned smugness that just had me like I didn't care for the character at all. I was like, you didn't earn any of this weird, like, gravitas the movie wants us to have this character have. I didn't care for that.
Didn't care for I get that. Especially because they do a switcheroo, right? Like at first you're like, okay, she seems cool with its goddaughter. Again, movies have this weird importance on that role. Um, and they're going to go on this adventure. Okay, cool. And then they fucking flip it and she betrays him. Like, oh, she's in it for herself.
Well, I understand Indy being a little bit more, willing to see the whole goddaughter thing through because he has personally witnessed evidence of Old Testament and New Testament God. So maybe he doesn't want to piss anyone off.
Yeah, and then obviously we get the reveal what happened to his son because we have to explain why Shia LaBeouf's on this film apparently.
They had
So
to
it's
do it
like,
in such a way that just made Indy a broken shell of a man. They could have just said, "Oh, Mutt's in Cancun on his own adventure, exploring the Incan ruins" or some shit like that. They had to make it he got killed in Vietnam because he joined up to piss off his father, and Indy never forgave himself. Like, Jesus, really? What the hell?
it's really hurting you.
Yeah, because it's so unnecessarily bleak in a movie that I went to for fun. Like, why are you doing this to me? Mutt wasn't a great character, but Jesus Christ, to have him be like the final nail in Indy's spirit, God damn.
I mean, it didn't bother me like that too much. I was okay with it, but I see your point. Um, yeah, no, I stand by what the hell. I definitely can get why people get annoyed again, but I also kind of see her side in the backstory. We do get her dad. It was kind of implied her dad like went crazy and she was pretty much raising herself for a while there.
Yeah, but how
And
is
then
that Indy's fault? How is that Indy's
well,
fault at
and
all?
then it's implied Indy never. He even says it. I haven't talked to her for 18 years. So after that encounter we see in the movie, and he even says, "I'll call you when I get back." He never did. So she probably, as a 12-year-old, grew up resenting that as she got older. Like, you said you were going to call and look out for me, and you never did.
Well, Indy, shortly after that, we see in that scene, he's got some gray going. So I'm assuming that's around the time he got abducted by the Russians, forced to find
But,
an alien body, discovered he had his own
but
kid.
also, this isn't like the time of like computers and stuff. She doesn't know any of that.
No, I'm just saying, like, we as the audience and Indy should be like, he had his own shit to deal with. Why is this his fault? The goddaughter godfather relationship is like I don't
I
feel
know.
any
I'm just
emotional
saying, but
connection to that.
again, I know. I'm just saying, like, Mur and the ward of the movie, they don't have phones and stuff. Like, she doesn't know about those adventures we saw happen in the movies. She's just thinking, like, why isn't he called? And he easily could have been like, well, I did all this stuff. That's why I got busy. Like, I'm sorry. He, to his, kind of like to his own fault, never explains that. He's just like, yeah, I didn't talk to you for 18 years. My son died. It's like, there's some explanation that could have been had on why you didn't call, buddy. Um, so
Uh,
I'm saying, like, I understood where she was coming from in the context of what the movie was providing.
I guess it just feels so flimsily written that I feel like they could have
I'm
strengthened
not
that
saying
so much better.
I'm not saying it's strong. I'm not saying it's strong because you're right. It's flimsy because, like I said, they could have maybe had him explain like he went on adventures, or she found, oh, you were busy, like, like, so the aliens and all this other stuff he was going on. Like, they could have had at least some damn explanations other than, hey, the last time I saw you, you said you were going to call me when you get back, and you and my dad had a big fight, and then I didn't hear from you for 18 years.
Again, you just make it you make the dad short round, all this goes away. And suddenly you have the emotional connection, you have the resentment, like it all makes sense if you did that instead of creating some new characters I don't give a shit about. Uh I how'd you feel about Mads Mikkelsen's bad guy, Jurgen Voller? How does he match up to Belloc, Molaram, Donovan, and Irina Spelko?
I can't believe I'm going to say this. At least in regards to Cameron Crystal Skulls, as much as I love Mads Mikkelsen, he was good performance wise. He was kind of a weak villain.
Right? Damn it. You cast Mads Mikkelsen as a Nazi fugitive trying to literally resurrect the Third Reich, and it's boring. Come on.
Yeah, I will give you that. And it sucks because he had that once. Though there was a scene in the hotel when the waiter comes in and he's asking him that question and all that stuff. I legitimately was like starting to feel the terror and the fear and that stuff. Like I was feeling, I was like, okay, here we go, here we go. We
Yeah.
never got anything close to that for the rest of the film with him.
I did love that line. You didn't win the war. Hitler lost it. Like that was a cold fucking line. I was like, I'm gonna like this guy. And then nothing. He was
Yeah.
just he didn't even like and why do you have Boyd Holbrook here if you're just gonna like give him no lines and just have him be kind of nuts?
Can we just talk about like how Boyd Holbrook just has like not gotten anything meaty to chew on ever?
He
Like
keeps
anything
popping
I
up in
watched?
high profile shit, but getting nothing to do.
Yeah. And he was in Logan. So James Mango sent this twice to him.
Logan, he was in that shitty Predator movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like he looks, maybe he just looks Aryan, and that's why Mangold's like, I'm gonna need you to look like a Nazi for 2.5 hours. Can you do that for me? And
God
Boyd
damn it.
just, in his like Texan drawl goes, Yahoo, James.
I
I don't know.
got you. Uh
So weird.
yeah, no, they like I said, you get that really good scene right there with that way Matt Mickelson, and it's like, okay, here we go. This is gonna be a good villain. And I do agree with you on this one. Like after that, there's no point where I was intimidated, no point where I was scared. And yeah, so that's why I say like I can't believe I'm saying this on Kino and Crystal Skulls, but she was a better villain than he was.
There was the scene where Jurgen turns on all the CIA people and like reveals his name is not Smith, and he's like, my name is Voller, Jurgen Voller. Like the way that's revealed is like we're supposed to be it's supposed to be this big reveal of like, oh my god. But what like I didn't who there was no
It wasn't really a
I
big reveal. He just says it, and then
yeah.
everyone gets shot by his men.
Yeah, it's like why who's this for? Like we don't know this dude's name, so why is this a big moment?
Yeah, it like I said that I'll give you that. The handling of his villain is not good, which sucks because you casted Mads Mikkelsen, who we know can bring it with
Mm,
this kind of stuff.
yeah. All right, let's talk about the MacGuffin, Archimedes dial. Uh so this thing, most of the movie is spent trying to find it. We get about 10 minutes worth of actual time with the dial. I mean, admittedly in the past,
Well, I'll
the
say
Ark
I can't
and the Grail and all that, but there
like you
was still
can't hit
this
it too hard on that one. That's been a trope for a lot of the Indiana Jones films.
okay, but then once we actually did get to the artifact, it mattered. In
Okay.
this case, it just kind of is like we go all right, we travel back to the fucking Roman Empire and then we just go home within 2 minutes. What a goddamn waste of a game-changing moment in this franchise.
See, and okay, I think it's because again, the one thing that's been kind of like, and it's just the law of sequels with this franchise, is that the endings have to seem to just get more and more outrageous and stretch that believability with these artifacts.
Well,
So
okay.
like
Real quick though, believability has never been a problem with the Indiana Jones franchise. The first
yeah,
movie has God's coffin blast the faces off a shit ton of Nazis. The
that
second one
is
voodoo, and the third one has a 700-year-old knight who gives Indy the Holy Grail. So let's curb the believability here.
so that sounds pretty realistic to me. All right, that's some realism you just dropped right there. Well, deep in realism, those movies. But either way, like at first I was like, "Ooh, we're doing a time travel thing. I don't know how I feel about this." It was a really good, cool sequence though, with them still, even with their futuristic weapons, we're getting fucked up by these guys. Um,
Romans, you don't fuck with the Romans.
yeah. I'm not
I
gonna
did
lie,
think it was weird that Boyd Holbrook was just like, I gotta shoot all these
dude,
people.
he snapped. He fucking snapped, and I'm like, "You want to come down there?"
Yeah. But like you can't introduce like you can't do that and then just have no one kind of react to it really and then have Indy get punched and go home off screen.
So okay, and see, this didn't bug me because I was actually when they were kind of hinting that he wanted to stay, I was like, no, 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 don't do that. Because I was with her. I'm like, no, you're going to fuck up the timeline. Then that's just giving Disney an excuse to keep you around for future. No, 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 no. Get the fuck out of there. Get back to your timeline and give me a definitive ending. Don't you fucking do this to me. So I actually was really against the idea of them teasing us that he was going to stay. So I was like, no. And to me, what we know about Indiana Jones, like it just doesn't feel right. Like someone who is that steeped in history and stuff like that would know, hey, if we do this, there's a chance I fuck things up, and I wouldn't want to do that.
I'm not arguing that he should have stayed there. I'm arguing that we should have gotten the like a scene of them trying to escape that time and get home. Like
Oh, like
they
watch
should
them
have,
actually get back to the
yeah,
fucking.
like they should have ended up in the Roman Empire like halfway through the movie. And then, Archimedes helps them get home. Like that's what the ending should have been. Like they have a
Okay,
certain window to get
okay.
through that portal and they need Archimedes' help and they like uncover some historical shit. And, then Indy learns a lesson along the way there. But it's shoved into the final act. So like it's almost like an afterthought.
Okay. I thought you were
That should
talking.
have
I
been
was
the
like,
centerpiece of this thing. Indy goes back in time to the Romans. Fuck yes. Like, why is that not the star of this film?
okay. So I thought you were arguing like he should be. I was like, no, I don't want him stuck in that time period.
No,
No,
he
God,
eventually
no.
should go home, but like all of that was done within like 5 minutes. Like that should have been a huge moment stretched across half the movie at least.
Yeah, I mean, no, okay, I can see what. Yeah, I think they probably would have benefited from having it happen sooner, and cutting some stuff in the movie again, cutting out that two and a
Yeah,
half
like
hour
have,
time we had.
have the plane crash halfway through the movie in the Roman Empire. Bowler survives and like tries to take over the Romans or something like that. Like he claims he's fucking Jupiter or something and takes over the Roman Empire because all
Yeah,
he wants is conquering. Like that, there you go. Like it turns out he is Caesar or something.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll give you
There
that. I'll
were
give you
there
that.
was an option for so much cool shit here that just got completely ignored.
Yeah. No, okay, I'll give you that. And again, I wonder how much of that is Disney's fault because as we know, this film took a long ass time to get made. Even when Disney finally confirmed, "Hey, we're working on Indiana Jones 5, it's happening," it took them fucking forever to get this shit off the ground.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it, Kathleen Kennedy is not exactly the greatest producer in my opinion.
She has dropped the ball so many fucking times. I can't believe she still works for them.
Yeah, I look. This isn't like me trying to be like, oh, because she's a female. No, I based off
It's
how Star
because
Wars.
she's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, based off how Star Wars is going, how long it took for her from announcing this was a go, like this is happening, and us just now finally getting it. I'm not talking all the productions they had with Harrison Ford getting injured and things like that. The pre-pro that took forever. Like not the best producer. So I wonder how much of this was like rewritten and then this they could have had this be a longer scene that just slowly got chopped down.
Yeah, because like in the end, Archimedes' dial was built up to be this like life-changing, possibly time-altering creation that must be destroyed, or else, the Nazis will rise again. And they go back in time to the Romans because no one took into effect continental drift. Archimedes is like, "What's up?" and then steals Mads Mikkelsen's watch. And then we go back home and the dial is just sitting on a table somewhere. Like, so did this thing do anything but just point to where the fissures are? Like, is there any actual power to this thing whatsoever? Like, what? We never really got any explanation on what this was, how it worked, or why it mattered.
I don't know. I mean, I've never heard this
At least the
since.
Crystal Skull got a goddamn explanation.
In all fairness, this is the first one in the franchise I've never fucking heard this particular artifact ever.
Neither have I, but like I didn't know what the Ark of the Covenant was when I watched Raiders for the first time, and it explained it very well to me.
I mean, yeah, explain, but I'm saying like, well, yeah, when they explain it too, I even when I watched the other ones, I knew what those artifacts were. This was the first one I was like, what is this artifact? And I kind of felt like this isn't an actual artifact in real life. I wonder how much of this shit was made up.
I've heard the name Archimedes, but that's only because I really liked The Sword and the Stone as a child, and that was the name of Merlin's owl. That's all I
Yeah,
got.
so I wonder how much this was made up, and that's why there's not that much of an explanation because they don't even know.
Well, like Temple of Doom didn't really I didn't know what the hell the Sankara stones were, but the movie did a good job of like, you know, explaining
Yeah,
them in the context of the film.
but what I'm saying is that like I feel like because all up to like we know for a fact even the Curse of Skulls, even though people want to, I'm on the camp that the aliens was too much for me, but I mean it is based off an actual like skulls that exist, like it's based off an actual item.
Mhm.
I think because we know they're based off actual items, they were able to use that to their advantage and incorporate it in the film and explain it that way. What I'm saying is that I wonder if the Dial of Destiny is an actual real life thing, and if not, that's why it feels like half-assed because they were kind of having to make it up as they go along.
Um, yeah, it does have a real life historical counterpart. The Archimedes, the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek hand powered orrery described as the oldest example of an analog computer. Yeah. Oh, I've seen the pictures of that. Yeah, they
Oh,
discovered this on the ocean floor and have yet to really figure out what the hell it is. I remember these pictures. So yeah, it does have a historical
oh,
counterpart.
so then okay, Spielberg and Lucas just did their research better than the writers for this film. No offense to the guys who wrote this film.
I say big offense. I didn't know what the fuck this was. Explain it to me. God damn it.
So that then okay, well, I was trying to give them an out. I was trying to give them an
I'm not
out.
giving them an out. This is Indiana Jones. You fucked with my favorite, one of my
No,
favorite franchises.
I was trying to be like, well, maybe they made this shit up, but nope. There's a real life thing that exists on. Granted, it sounds like for whatever reason they picked an item that we don't know anything about in real life, which is a dumb ideal.
Yeah, it's not a lost mythical thing like the Holy Grail. Like that's there's pictures of this thing. It's in a museum somewhere.
Yeah. So, they just didn't do their research. They picked something that, unlike the prior Indiana Jones films that have a lot of fucking info back to about it that Spielberg and Lucas could do research on. They picked something that had pretty much like, hey, we found this. We don't even know what the fuck it is, and they also apparently just didn't want to do their research like Lucas and Spielberg do.
It looks like a rusty old wheel. It doesn't look like anything of note. So yeah, this was an odd choice for Indy's final adventure and just feels insanely forced throughout. The Marion cameo at the end was sweet, but also like, how many times are these two stubborn assholes going to break up and get back together and break up and get back
I
together?
I generally in movies and TV hate with a passion the trope of our main characters breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together. Like Jesus Christ! In real life, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in a relationship, we are constantly breaking up and getting back together. That is a sign of a toxic relationship.
Yeah, that's
It's good to
codependency.
just yeah. At that point, is okay to stay off forever.
Yeah, it's what we call a Liz and Dick, as in Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Best example of just a relationship that just kept going on and off and on and off, and just creating a black hole of toxicity around it. But
Yes.
I guess, once Indy realized like, hey, losing my son made me sad and it made you sad, and I wish I'd realized that it made you sad too. It's like, isn't Indiana Jones like he's a professor of archaeology. He's a very educated, smart man. He probably should have figured that out. That's not
Yeah,
a
but
twist. That's not a growing moment. That's fucking obvious.
it's also a grumpy Harrison Ford. So that's just okay.
No, I can't.
The
There's so much in this I can't defend.
the persona of grumpy Harrison Ford is just taking over all of his roles. It's just
Ugh.
bleeding into his movies like it does his everyday life.
Well,
I do wonder sometimes what it's like with like his kids and Calista Flockhart, like how the hell that dynamic is at home.
I've heard from a lot of people he's like really nice and really chill, and like he doesn't like stupid questions, which I can relate. I'm a
Yeah.
pretty easygoing guy, but if you ask me a stupid question, it's going to irritate me.
Yeah, and look, when you're 80 and you get asked a stupid question, who's
Yeah.
gonna stop you from like answering in a grumpy way? No one. Because the rest of us are just laughing our ass off at the response because we agree. We're like, that was a stupid question. Why would you ask him that?
Yeah, I feel like, if Harrison Ford could be the guy who completely spoils Marvel's game plan with zero consequences. Like he'll just be like, I don't know. I think I die in the next one. You'll have to check. He's just, like, I don't know. I think this Kang guy probably wins. I don't know. I don't remember the script.
I cannot wait for the press junket tour for the movie season because that's
Who,
gonna be a fucking gold mine.
who's going to be Harrison Ford's spoiler buddy? Because they all have one. I hope it's
Right,
Tim
Anthony
Blake Nelson.
Mackie.
Oh
Tim
yeah,
Blake.
Anthony Mackie probably. They seem like they got on pretty well.
Yeah,
But yeah, Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny to me is the worst Indiana Jones movie. I liked Crystal Skull more. I don't
uh,
see this. I don't see this growing on me. I don't. I was very disappointed.
you say that now, but apparently Crystal Skull grew on you, which is blasphemy to
I
me.
I liked Crystal Skull a bit from the first time I saw it. I caved to peer pressure a lot on Crystal Skull, but in reality, I didn't think it was that bad. I never really have.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, I
How
think
dare
it's a decent movie. It's a fine, it's an okay movie. If I'm rewatching Indiana Jones, I won't skip it. I will watch that. I may skip Dial of Destiny.
you son of a bitch. Uh just wow. Look, I gave it a 3.5. I had a lot of fun with this movie, flaws and all. Um I liked it more than Kino and Crystal Skull. I do think it's missing the magic of Spielberg directing, and based off what the little bit we know, it wasn't exactly an amicable leave when he stepped down from the directing
Oh,
chair.
is that coming out?
From what I understand, it wasn't exactly on the best of terms. Um,
Was it like hit? Was it a beef with Disney? Was Disney like
I think it was like creative issues with Disney.
Jesus Christ? I wonder if that was Disney behind West Side Story.
No,
Okay,
I don't
because
think
that
so.
that tanked, and I wondered if that had something to do with it.
I
But
don't
I
know.
guess
Well, I'm sure probably I should have probably had more to do with George Lucas because if you know, I don't think he was even attached to it at any point during this film. And I'm sure that was probably Disney being like, no, we bought his shit. We don't want him working on it.
I wonder. You know what? I think I find it ironic if George Lucas is the like the missing ingredient. You know, the Krabby Patty secret formula of the Indiana Jones franchise. Like George has to have some input because he knows this better than anybody. I wouldn't be surprised.
Look,
I
I'm
bet
just
that's the
saying,
problem.
like, it's like, look, I've always said this. Lucas, when he has someone with him, is phenomenal. Don't let that man go rogue. But when he has someone with him, he's great. And that has never been more apparent than the Indiana Jones franchise when he is working him and Spielberg have been
Yeah.
attached to it. And yeah, I will say, even though I had a fun time with this, yes, them two behind this, not being behind this one, you can feel a bit of the magic not there. Harrison Ford's doing what he can, obviously with his passion for this character, but it's not the same not having George Lucas and Spielberg attached to this the way they were the last four films.
Yeah. See, yeah. I feel like not enough attention was put on this movie. This feels like an afterthought by Disney, a $300 million afterthought, one of the most expensive films ever made, and I don't think it's going to do as well as
It's
they hoped.
it's not doing that. I mean, I saw this on Thursday night. My theater was not even remotely packed.
Mine was, but I live in Austin where people see movies, so everything's
Yeah.
packed. Fucking No Hard Feelings was packed. Past Lives was packed. Everything's packed when I go to the movies. Um, and speaking of movies, next week we get Insidious, The Red Door, and Joyride. So we might do one, we might not. We'll see how things go. But we'll definitely be back for Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah, I got my tickets for that already. As soon
Yeah,
as they went on sale.
yeah. I give Dial of Destiny 2.5 stars out of 5.
All right, fair enough. I give mine. I give it 3.5. Had a fun time. I won't lie, it might drop down to a 3. Um, but yeah, I liked it essentially just a tad bit more, I guess.
I could see in your eyes during this episode that a couple times I broke your spirit just a little bit. I could tell like you were bending a little bit to like maybe he's right. I could
I'm
see
gonna
it.
take I'm gonna take my own Indiana Jones whip that I will purchase later, and I'm going to just beat you with it. Break my spirit, huh?
He barely used the whip in this movie too. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean that one. You know what? Let's just send this.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good place to stop. Uh yeah,
So
this
he
was
did
first
only use it.
thoughts.
For, yeah, he did only use it for one scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What a bummer. God damn. You know what? Go see it if you want. It'll be on Disney Plus probably in like 2 fucking days. I don't know at this point. It seems like
I
fast.
don't I don't think it's gonna get anywhere close to its budget. As we've kind of
No,
seen, June has, unless you're Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, has not been a hot month for movies. For
you
at
know
least,
why? Because Across the Spider Verse was a good movie. It was a good
mm,
story. People liked it. People cared about it. The
I
Flash,
think,
Elemental, Indiana Jones story was not priority.
yeah, I will say Blackening actually did good for its budget. It actually proved pretty good, and I think No Hard Feelings is actually doing pretty good too.
Yeah, you know why? Good story. I that's the most important part of filmmaking. God damn it! If you don't have a good story, if you don't have a good foundation, everything else is gonna suck. So start there. Make sure your story is perfect, or at least as perfect as you can make it, and then people will go. If you build it, they will come. Another movie with a great story. God damn it! Oh well, I am ending this crap fest. Go see it. Don't see it. I don't know. It's up to you. You know our socials. We'll have content for you next week. Thanks for listening.